Welcome to the GTP. My name is Scott, and in this video I'm excited to share with you 8 brand new releases for the month of November 2024 that was sent over from none other than our friends at Yen Press. Yes, you heard me correctly, friends of the channel. Yen Press was very kind to send 8 new releases for us for the month of November. I had the opportunity to read each of these series, and my goal for this video is to let you know what did I think of each one, as well as an age rating on who I recommend the series for. And they're coming up on the holidays, so this might be a great gift for a loved one that you know. So let's go ahead and dive in these series. And the first series I want to talk about is Brunhild The Dragonslayer, and I gotta say, this was a great first volume, and it's actually based on the light novel. Now, this series is a fantasy setting. I mean, we do have a dragon ball, but it's set in modern times, and the story with this has to do with this island called Eden that has this forbidden fruit from the Tree of Life and the Tree of Knowledge. And humans are just trying to do everything they can, from battleships to airplanes, to go ahead and get on this island to get that forbidden fruit. What they don't know, or what they do know, is this ferocious dragon continues to knock them down each time, and they're not able to get onto the island. So after a war is waged on one of these battles, it just so happens on that shore stumbles a baby girl. And that dragon decides to raise that girl for her, kind of his own, almost like a daughter. And she raises up learning about the island, learning about humans. And it's just interesting to see their interaction with each other as she grows up. And she ends up getting some of these abilities from the dragon itself. So I don't want to spoil too much, but I was thoroughly intrigued with what happened with this volume. The pacing is incredible. It moves very fast. And you're already bracing for it, almost like we're in a new arc already just with the first volume. So I thought this was very, very good. It's rated for teens, which I agree with that rating. Probably a little older teens, maybe 14, 15. Again, always check out the first volume for yourself, but I thought they did a very good job with the story to see what is going to happen, and I'm excited to see what this girl does, as it's so good to see more manga with a main heroine in a fantasy series. My daughters complain there's not enough fantasy series with a female lead. So with this, you have an incredibly strong female lead, and I'm excited to see what she does. Next up we have is Agents of the Four Seasons Dance of Spring. Now, this series is about people who have the ability to give us none other than summer, fall, winter, and spring. And it just so happens that the person who has the ability to give spring has disappeared, was kidnapped for 10 plus years. So because of that, spring has always been skipped. We don't have those beautiful flowers anymore. And then we only get then summer, fall, winter, then summer, fall, winter. So she is now back. It's a bit of a mystery to find out what happened to her during that time, as well as you get to learn about the other people and their abilities. It just so happens I believe we run into summer or winter, and they're friends. They're kind of not friends, so I'm interested to see what happens with that. It's very sweet finding out as they're on this journey, and there's like a local agency set in modern times where they're kind of protecting these people because it's important to get the different seasons happen. So I thought it was a very interesting first volume. I'm interested to see what happens next with it, and I also really enjoyed the artwork on this. And I don't know, it felt a little bit like it wanted to be a slice of life, but a fantasy story with a slight sprinkle in of battling and what's going to happen next. So we'll see what happens here, but I thought they did a great job with this first volume for this type of series. All right, next up is none other than the Teen Exorcist. Now, this story here, Teen Exorcist, I gotta say, I actually absolutely love the back cover the most, and just the different colors here. So this series is about a teen who has the ability to exorcise spirits. Now, his grandfather is a most powerful person he's known for, and he's trying to not live in his grandfather's shadows as he's trying to make it out on his own. And there's this, supposedly kind of like a typical shonen series where he has a hidden power in him that might even be stronger than his grandfather, but he just doesn't know it yet. And you see him as he battles different exorcist spirits, and he has a cute little companion along the way that helps him. So I thought it was a very interesting first volume. This is typical, very similar from those type of series. So if you're into exorcist series of seeing people fight different demons or monsters around, and then this person's going to the different towns to be able to help save. There's a mystery where there's this burning happening, and he's trying to figure out which that exorcist is and then go ahead and snuff it out. So Interesting first volume. I do like the period. It's taking place in more of the ancient period in Japan. So good first volume here for those who are looking for that type of series, the Teen Exorcist. All right, next up is a 3-in-1 volume that actually covers the entire volume 1 of the light novel, which I actually really appreciate. I wish more manga, instead of giving us a single volume, and then you find out enough of them finally reach one of the light novels. I wish we would have the manga do the same, where they would just put them together to equal one manga here, even if it's a 3-in-1 would equal whatever the light novel is. I think that would be so much easier just trying to figure out the chronological order. So with that said, I will say this is definitely not for kids. This is for older teens for sure. This is Dracula of the Night Shift. At first I was wondering if this is going to be similar like The Devil is a Part-Timer. It was not, but this story here, we have this lovely vampire here who works the night shift because, you know, it's dangerous in the daylight. So he works the night shift. He's just trying to have an everyday life, and then he just so happens to save this lovely girl here who is also a vampire, werewolf, and other type of killer out there that's trying to protect just the modern world. So they end up teaming up together-ish, where he doesn't really want to team up with her, but it's better if that helps him live his life. So I would say there's a sprinkle of fantasy, a little bit smidge of romance, and you also have a bit of a slice of life to it, and just action and fighting. Towards the end, you're like, oh snap, as the battle happens as well. So it's I wish I could summarize it better than that. There's almost a little bit of everything sprinkled in this. So there's some laugh out loud moments as well. I'm interested to find out if they'll go ahead and the manga will continue with the other light novels coming out for this. So I thought it was a pretty good, I enjoyed my time with Dracula the Night Shift. My only hesitation is wondering is, will we get more of the manga, as this is complete just doing the light novel. So if more light novel volumes come out and if the manga continues, I think that would be great. But if you're looking for just good three volumes, it does leave you on a little bit of a cliffhanger where you're going to want to go and check out the light novel if you want to go ahead and continue the story. All right, next up I have is The War of Greedy Witches. And I gotta say, if you like Record of Ragnarok, this is the series for you. If you just want a popcorn, turn your brain off, just nothing but battle manga, this is for you. And this one is very interesting as you're following these girls throughout different parts of history. And the main character, Joan of Arc, you get to find out they have this ability where whatever they desire, their strongest desire, ends up becoming a superpower and a passion for them as they're battling out to see who is the strongest of these witches. And there's supposed to be a prize at the end. You're kind of unsure exactly what that's going to be. So if you're looking for a nonsense, just battle, just an arena, some of the best, you know, Shonen Jump stories is going to be when you saw the best arcs are always like these huge battle arcs. So Yen Press does that with this. Was if you're looking again for a battle arc, just mangas, I just want to see fight, this is going to be for you. And then as they fight, you get to see a little bit of each person's backstory, a little bit behind them on who they are, what they were beforehand, and now they're battling out together. So again, I definitely not for kids for this one whatsoever. This is definitely for, I would say, 16 plus, this volume here, at least the first one, especially the 32 of the wickedest women duel to the death. Joan of Arc, not very wicked. I guess it depends on your point of view. Maybe against the devil she'd be pretty wicked, but hey, War of Greedy Witches, interesting first volume. All right, next up is probably my favorite of everything that Yen Press sent, and actually I gotta have a little bit of confession. I apologize, I've never read Laid Back Camp, but the author gave us another one, and this is Mono. And I gotta say, after reading this, I definitely want to check out Laid Back Camp. The author even almost feels like they're breaking the fourth wall with this one, just kind of giving a head nod of trying to make something new for a manga. So it's a 4-panel manga, which kind of like Boshi the Rock. So I really appreciate you just read from the top and go down to the bottom for each one here, and going from this side to here, and then we continue going down. So very, very funny, laugh out loud moments. It's a slice of life series for them so far of following these girls in the photography club, which now combines with the video club, and they're on this journey together just trying to find different sites. And then you have this person who's trying to create a manga, and then she's going along with them to help her get ideas for the story. And then you're seeing the different plot points as they're developing, just growing together, discovering the world out there. So if you're looking for something just wholesome, cozy. I gotta say, man, Mona was absolutely fantastic. It's rated for teens. I would say I would easily let my 13-year-old daughter, or if my 12-year-old son wanted to read this, I think he would love this. I don't know if he'd want this be his type of story. You know, for some reason my son's not into slice of life as of now, but I gotta say, a very, very cozy, great first volume. All right, next we're gonna go ahead and talk about some light novels here sent to us from Yen Press. Now, I'm not sure if there is gonna be volume 1s or 2s for these ones I'm gonna show you. I believe both of them are just its own thing, but I could see at least this one here, the first one, Festivals of the Heresies, I could see this getting a second volume. I will say this is 16 and up, and I agree with that rating, maybe even 17. This is definitely not for kids whatsoever. So this story here is a girl looking for a job, and she ends up getting this job at this place where she thinks she's doing food, and then ends up being this exorcist instead. And she's going out and now exorcising, you know, different spooky things out there, and she's helping a person who does the exorcist. Heresy is indeed, there is a mixture of religion in here. If you know bits of the Bible, they take parts of the Bible and they add in here and twist it in different ways. That's definitely not biblical whatsoever compared to the Bible itself. So if you are looking for heresy in its name is indeed, if you're looking for a spooky exorcist story that may have you at times a little creepy, I gotta say. And I will say, being dyslexic, I will say, if you are dyslexic, I struggled a little bit. This one took me longer than the other story, sometimes to follow along to what was happening. Sometimes I was a bit confused on how did we get to this point, or what was going on, even though part of the dialogue, but that's just me being dyslexic. I'm sure it's more of me, not the book itself. The other book I had no problems, and I could follow along, understood what was going on from beginning to end. But there are parts here where they're in some certain situations where I had to read it 3 or 4 times where I'm like, what exactly is this going on here? So if you're looking for a light novel that is doing the exorcist thing instead of a manga, this might be something that is up your alley, and again, is definitely not for kids. This is more, I would say, for adults for sure. All right, and last is a beautiful light novel. I can't imagine there being another one, as you even get to see at the end, they tie up the story showing you 10 plus years later. A beautiful story, and that is In a World of Lies, I Fell into an Unforgettable Love. Now, the story starts off with this boy who in high school who finds out he only has a year to live, and he wants to let the love of his life, his crush, at least let her know that he likes her. And then along the journey, you get to follow her perspective for the most part, for most of it, and seeing through her lens here as they have a love for film together, and then just seeing them grow together. This story really made you think. If you're looking for a story that makes you also reflect on life, some kinds of meaning of life, if you only had a year to live, how would you live that life? Would you live it to the fullest? And if you did live it to the fullest, what would that life look like? Is there anything like right now you have not done yet that you would do if you knew you only had a little bit time left to live? And it really makes you think on that. For me, I'd like to write a book. I've been very lazy in not doing that. But if I knew I only had so much time left, would I do that? If you knew you only had so much time left, would you let that person know that you like them? Would you go ahead and call that friend? Would you try to work on that relationship that's broken? Would you let someone know that you care about them? Would you say sorry? Would you go on a trip? What is holding you back now? And oftentimes there's nothing holding us back, but there's so countless stories in life where you hear people that had a near-death experience and it completely changed them, where they lived their life to the fullest afterwards. And again, if you're deeply thinking, I really appreciate this. Was originally just in Japanese, so for Yen Press to go ahead and translate this to English, I thought this was a very good, beautiful, heartwarming stories, moments that were sad and gripping and just made you think. So I was very impressed with this. I thought they did a great job with this. Okay, so those were the 8 new releases that were sent to us over from our friends at Yen Press. I'd love to know in the comments below which of these are you the most interested in checking out. And I gotta say, special thank you again to Yen Press for sending these in to begin with. This video literally would not have been made if it wasn't for our friends at Yen Press. So I gotta say thank you for trusting in me, giving me the opportunity to read these and be able to share just a different perspective and lens with each person who watched this video. So I gotta say thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, if you've not done so already, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.